What is up, everybody? Me and Matty Matt, the luscious Matt Munoz here to help talk about the episode 4 of Alien Earth. We'll get to it right after this. All right, Matt. Episode 4, Alien Earth. Go ahead, give me what you thought of the episode as a whole.
Yeah, this one was really cool. They showed especially that one eye alien taking over that lamb. That was crazy. um and Wendy's fascination with the baby one at the end. That shit was dope.
Uh, yeah, I thought that there was a couple of cool moments in this particular one. This one, I could understand why some people out there thought it was slow. That's one of the things I said when we talked about the first three episodes. Uh, the first three episodes, there was a lot of like stuff happening, people getting slaughtered and all this stuff and everything, and the plot was moving slow, which I'm fine. Kind of like a slow burn to the main story. That can work as long as you got stuff around it that's good, that's happening as well to keep people engaged. I think this episode uh, did enough to keep me engaged. But I think I could see some people having their complaints a little bit about like it being slow, especially on this particular episode. Um, I didn't find it like a huge amount that way, but I had that feeling of like, yeah, there's some people that might watch this that might think it's slow. I mean, did you like? So you were perfectly fine with the story they were telling, even though there wasn't a lot of action per se.
Yeah, just because like if they're dealing with this new species, you're not gonna rush like your understanding of it and shit.
No, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. Like two of the scenes that I thought was like pretty decently well done. I thought it was well acted and stuff. Would be the brother scene when he's talking to the boy genius, and or actually he's talking to the guy. I almost assume it's like a butler kind of guy or whatever, but he's kind of like looks like a sort of like an enforcer or whatever. But they're talking. He's talking to him about the situation and what's going on. Uh, and I thought that was a pretty intense scene. It didn't really have action in there. And then I also thought the synthetic, the guy from Yatani, he was sitting down with the that one of the Lost Boys' moms and trying to get him to do something for him so he can get like at least an egg or like a specimen of the alien because Yutani wants that. And but I thought that scene with him sitting there with that boy's mom and his mom thought he was dead, but now this is happening and he's like basically threatening, like, "Hey, bro, thought you was my friend. I'm here with your mom." I thought that was actually some pretty intense moments there during the show that like you didn't necessarily have to have like say the action.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like the show's directing. Whoever's doing it's doing a good job. Um, Not knowing where your kid was for 6 years or whatever that lady had to go through, that's got to be so horrible.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kind of like the brother finding out his sister wasn't really dead and everything else. Well, they kind of are kind of dead, but like they're able to live on in like this kind of fake body. But like that's a pretty interesting thing that the show is kind of covering and everything else. I do like the aliens, some of the new stuff, like you said. Like you, one of the bigger scenes in this episode was the new like eyeball alien that actually like rips out the eyeball of like a sheep or a goat
Yeah,
and jumps in there and then takes control of that creature, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Like,
yeah,
um,
that was gnarly. How
I
all its
would,
eyes would turn into one eyeball.
oh yeah, and like I would almost be interested in seeing a damn show where that's like the main like bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like where that particular alien was kind of like the thing that they were trying to combat against because like given enough time, it could just take over different people and stuff like that. And in some cases, you might not even be able to tell.
Yep.
Anything else you liked about the episode? I mean, you did bring up the eyeball alien. Like anything particularly that you was like, oh yeah, I'm digging the show because of this right here. Like any particular plot point or any of that that you're really into.
It was cool how they showed her that she could mimic their voice, with her own voice. You know, he was like, just pretend like it's a speaker and you're just playing back like information. That was cool.
Yeah, I think the show does a pretty good job right now of like having the alien stuff going on. And even though you didn't get a lot of the xenomorph in this one, you got that new alien we were just talking about. You did get something with the xenomorph at the end of it, uh, and everything else. And then mixing in like the cool stuff you could be doing with these like synthetics and robots. I do think that one thing that people may or may not like about it is like it's almost like half the cast is technically robots. Actually, over half the cast is technically robots. The guy working for Yatani is a robot. Uh, Wendy and the Lost Boys are all robots. The main character that are like is ahead of Wendy and them, sort of. He's like an old school robot, like AI guy or whatever. So like a lot of the characters in here aren't even like human. There's only like a few humans that are like in the actual show. Do you find that like something that you don't like as much, or is
Sorry, my connection is really bad right now, but I did hear what you said. No, I like that there's not humans in this that much, really. Just because, like, it is important that there's people there, but I want to more see like what the aliens, what they're trying, like, why are they spreading? That's what I don't get.
yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is like I just don't want them to uh, go throughout this whole thing and I want them to build on the lore. And like I said, the problem with this is you got to be careful because, like I said, I talked about that weapon they used in one of the first 3 episodes in our last review. How I was like, bro, if you got that weapon, we should be beating these aliens' asses. You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally can knock them out
Yeah.
and then like kill them and everything else. And like, it's going to be weird because like we did see Wendy at the end of the episode, like she was like kind of petting this damn xenomorph that was like in the very early stages of a xenomorph. It's kind of like, where are we going with that? Like, what's going to happen with that? Like, kind of situation. So you got to be careful of what you set up because of this being a prequel to like all the movies and everything else. I mean, do you think they're going to run into trouble because of that, or you think everything's going to be fine there?
No, I think they should be good. This show seems pretty well thought out.
Now, with that being said, you've been pretty positive on the show so far, like maybe even a little more positive than I have. Are there anything for the show so far that like you are like a little worried about, or like you may not find as cool, like in the story or whatever? Like during this time of talking about it so far, we haven't even brought up the weird lost, I guess you would say, lost girl, but like the synthetic that's walking around kind of being crazy after she got attacked by the eyeball thing. She didn't get like taken over or anything, but she got attacked.
Pregnant.
And yeah, now she's saying she's pregnant. And she almost goes slap crazy on like one of the scientists there. I I actually found that kind of interesting myself when with all that being said. But like I said, is there any like things that you are like at least bit of like just a nitpick kind of thing? Do you have any like, because you have, like I said, you've been pretty positive, like no real negative things about the show so far at all. I've stressed a couple of things, but do you have anything you're at least a little worried about or any of that?
Like they already said that the aliens are highly intelligent when they were immediately like observing them. So I just don't want them to like be killed off because of some dumbass reason, like they get shot out into space or some shit like that.
Well, I mean, some people already can kind of argue the fact that Wendy being one like synthetic taking out that first xenomorph, you know, uh, was kind of like low thing because how hard they are supposed to be able to kill. Now, like I said, she's a robot, and that's one of the things I think that they're going to be using throughout this, which I might get tired of as the show goes on, is that like a lot of these characters aren't even humans. So like if we have the dangers from the different aliens or whatever, it's not as dangerous, or it's not like you're killing like a human being. So like they've always had that like humans against aliens is like humans are very like low on the totem pole here when it comes to like things like this, whereas and it puts the humans in danger. But in this, like, I just don't know how I'm going to feel about even some of these characters that I think are kind of cool, but in reality they're, they're AI, they're robots, they're synthetics. So like I don't know how that's going to get me towards the end of this, and like how I'm going to feel at the end of the show, like looking back on it when it comes to that. Because part of the appeal for like these kind of shows is like humanity in danger kind of situation. And even though you could like step back and look at the entire like earth, like, oh crap, whatever, like, and you also got the movies that are going to be that come after this, like that's the thing is like they are doing a lot of research on the aliens and all this stuff, and it's almost like, bro, if you've got some of this research out there, how was you kind of caught off guard during the rest of the films?
Yeah. I forgot to say, I think the coolest thing they did in this episode was how they grew that alien out of that dude's bad lung. That was crazy because that shit couldn't help him live, and yet it was able to support, the life of a way stronger creature and shit. That was cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a parasite, so being in any kind of like situation where you've got a parasite in some kind of a living organism and what have you, and like the technology they got, it's like above what we have now. That kind of situation. I mean, hell, they're transferring like human kid brains into like these robots in this show. Like I said, there's a cool bunch of cool, interesting things. I think the one, like, if this show wasn't attached to the Alien franchise, and let's say they had the eyeball alien, which is something new, and then they had like another kind of alien or whatever, that could be a big badass that you're having to like uh, run away from. It could cause some danger. I think this could be a very good show. Some of my holdback is the fact that I do love Aliens, the franchise, as far as like the movies, some of the movies, not all of them, but some of the movies hold them in really high regard. And like it's going to be one of those things to where, okay, please don't mess up something that we've got going on. Please don't mess up, like the stuff that came before it. Be respectful. And I do think so far, I don't think they've technically crossed the line to me so far. Uh, but there are some things like I said I am worried about, like with some of the technology stuff they're doing here. It's kind of like watching Star Wars and you see like the newer films and you see in like people being able to do badass force abilities, and it's like they couldn't do that in the old films. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of the trouble that you run into, the cool ideas that you may have over like, years of like thinking about like, man, what would be in this universe and stuff like that, and trying to bring it out. But
Yeah.
but as far as like paying respects, I think like the aesthetic and all that stuff is pretty good. The only thing that like I would say that's different, and I haven't hated it, but it's just because I like most of the songs. What do you think about the music that comes on at the end of the episodes?
What was the one for this last one?
We had a Tool, we've had a Metallica song, and then
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
last one was like I think it was it Jane's Addiction? I might be wrong. It was something like Radiohead or James Addiction or something like that. But it's like songs that I like. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
music that I like, and it's like one of the reasons why I'm not hating on it. But I maybe I'm giving it a pass because I like the song choices. But I mean, like, do you feel like, oh, this is like probably not the thing you should be playing at the end of a Aliens show?
No, I think it's cool. I'm glad that they're spending money on the music. To be honest.
Yeah, because it's not like any piece or whatever. This is actually like copyrighted music they're playing at the end of the episodes. Like I said, one of them's a Tool song, and the cool part is so far when the song plays, you know why they picked it because of like the lyrics or whatever it is talking about something that happened in that episode, in that show, during that time period.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is one of the things about like this episode of post credits probably not being like super long is because there's not a lot of progression. Like there are some interesting things that you get to see in this episode, but you get some moments with a couple of characters and whatnot. you get a little bit more with Wendy and her brother. Then you get the scene with her brother basically being threatened, and he's got to stay around so that he can try to keep his sister alive and all this kind of stuff. After he gets threatened, then you have the Atani synthetic threatening that one boy's mom so that he can get that boy to go in there and try to steal something. But that's really all you had is some setup. There really wasn't a through line of progression, and then you even drop with kind of a cliffhanger of Wendy being able to, like I said, pet this alien. I don't know how much I'm going to like that. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm not going to judge it yet because it's just something that happened at the very end of the episode. But yeah, this didn't progress. I wouldn't say it's a side story, like one of those side quest episodes from other shows. Sometimes it's like, bro, why do we even have this episode? I don't think it's that, but I do think that as far as I said, the plot is kind of crawling, and I'm fine as long as by the end of the season we're running. You know what I'm saying? You got to crawl before you walk and before you run. I'm totally fine with that as long as they set it up. All right. Do you have any worries like that with the show at all? Period so far.
No, because I think they hit the ground running.
Yeah, with the action stuff and the blood and gore, I really enjoyed that. In this episode, there wasn't a lot of that. So at all, almost period. It was some character stuff, which I'm cool as long as they can pay it off. If we get to the end of the season and some of these characters and stuff really aren't paid off that well, and the story beats that they set up, really doesn't pay off a huge amount, then I'm going to be looking at this entire series in a totally different light. And unfortunately, there's been a decent amount of shows that start off like a banger, like me and you doing The Last of Us not long ago, The Last of Us season 2. That thing started off like a banger. We was both into it, and then we slowly but surely fell off the wagon by the end of it. And I don't want that to happen with this show. Do you have? I mean, do you have any fears with that on this show? Yeah, because like I said, you're higher on this than a lot of other things. Because even some of the things that you like, you have more critiques than what you've had so far for this show. So I understand that you probably are super high so far on the season so far.
Yeah, no, I'm chilling. I think it's a good story.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's not a lot for me to look at. That's to say this television show is bad. I wouldn't say it's great. I just say it's kind of good. I'm kind of right there. I'm more apprehensive than you are so far, but I think it's because maybe I like the original movies maybe more than you did. I'm not saying you didn't like the movies, but I think I even asked you in in our last one, as far as how big of an actual Alien franchise. Did you watch all the movies, even the ones that sucked?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
Okay, cool. So you're at least up there with watching all the films and everything else. But as a horror fan, for me personally, this is a franchise that I've really loved for a long time. I just hope they don't mess it up. And it seems to be a lot of times when you're watching a lot of this stuff that there is a lot of mess ups. There's a lot of things that you see that man, I wish they just wouldn't even have did it. It ain't that great. It ain't that good to me for whatever reason. So I'll say I think this one, I can't pick out a lot of super dumb things. You got to be careful with this show because even though the Lost Boys and Wendy do look more grown, you got to put into perspective that they're all technically still kids, probably around 12, 13 years old or so. Some of them, maybe one or two of them, is even younger than that. As far as characters, even though and I do think that will mess with some people, that they can't differentiate between the fact they look like they're an adults or at least older teenage years, maybe early 20s, but yet they're acting like if they were 12 years old. Some people might not be able to recognize that all the time and see it. It hasn't bothered me yet, but I can see where some people may have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this is probably going to be the shorter episode, just post credits, just because of the fact that the couple of moments that we got into is really the only thing that you get here. Thought the stuff they did was well done. It's just not a lot. There's not a lot of progression and everything else. But let us know in the comments down below, if you thought this episode was too slow. I didn't think personally it was. Matt obviously doesn't think it personally was either. But let us know in the comments below. Like, what do you think about the show so far? What did you think about this episode 4? Is it going too slow for you? Did you not like they didn't have any action? Or wasn't like a lot of scare stuff in here? There was a couple of tense moments, but that was like the biggest things. Matt, what did you think about the episode as far as like a score or like on this particular one? I think you gave the first 3 episodes like a 4 out of 5. What did you give this one right here? Matt? Matt, your thing messing up, Matt? Matt? While we're waiting for Matt, I don't know if it's because of his internet connection or not. The cicadas out there are going
Yeah, no,
crazy.
I just came back.
Okay. What'd you think about the episode? You gave the first 3 4 out of 5. I was like at a 3 out of 5. What'd you give this episode standalone, episode 4?
I'll go 3 out of 5. No, not 3. 4 out of 5.
He's staying with 4 out of 5. I'm still sticking with 3 out of 5. This is an enjoyable show so far. It's not knocking my socks off. I do am happy so far as like how things look and everything. It does pay respect to the world. With that being going on, I do think some of the things they are having going on in the show is kind of interesting with some of the characters and stuff like that. But let's see like where it ends up. Let's see how it progresses from here. And I might be raising my score as we go along because, like I said, I feel like this is kind of a slow burn, which is fine with me. As far as the plot goes, like some of the action stuff was kind of balls to the wall, but like some of the plot has been like a slow burn kind of feel to it. But with that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, don't get that face sucker on your face. Don't do it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.